Well, there you are, and here I am. Ladies and gentlemen, Vic Solo back with you once again for a talking piece that I have not done one of these on YouTube for quite a while, but I had promised recently, as Elvis is in back of me, the king of rock and roll, I had promised that I was going to do a series called the Karaoke Chronicles. And this talks about how karaoke basically helped shape my musical journey. Came stateside in the late 80s, early 90s. I remember seeing something on the Phil Donahue show, probably about 89 or 90, something like that, talking about this new wonderful medium that we had available to us. But my personal experience with karaoke started, and I'm going to just get right into it, in the spring of 1992. And those who grew up in or still live in Middleborough, Massachusetts, my hometown, they're gonna know the place I'm gonna mention right now. The Central Cafe in downtown Middleborough. So at the time, I'm working for Continental Cablevision. I had my TV show, Wrestling Classics, that was a monthly wrestling program, and wandered into the Central Cafe after. We did a couple of back-to-back tapings for a couple episodes of the show, and met up with some of my co-hosts of the program, as we were all from Middleborough, and wandered into the Central, and I saw someone singing. As you walked in to the left, there was an elaborate sound system set up, and there was a young lady singing, and I thought, wow, live entertainment. Pretty cool. Turns out that, yeah, I was partially right. And what happened was, it was karaoke. And in those days, there was books that were passed out to the various tables. There were pieces of paper where you wrote your name, the song name, and the number as it appears in the book, and the name of the artist that sings the song, and you would get called up to sing. With technology, it's different now. I know when I go to Old Town here in Central Florida, in Kissimmee, there's actually a phone number that you text your request to, and the host takes it from there. So no more books and papers. But yeah, it was books and papers and golf pencils in those days, sometimes pens. But the company that was doing the karaoke at the time was called KP Productions, which still exists to this day. And proud to say that the owner and operator of that organization, that company, I should say, Carl Bach, still a friend of mine, even though we haven't seen each other face to face in a lot of years. But Carl was very instrumental in my journey, not only because it was his karaoke show where I performed for the very first time, but also because later on, and we'll get into that as the story progresses in the next chapters, Carl showed me the business, took me under his wing, and I did some shows for him, some gigs. So it was explained to me by one of my co-hosts from Wrestling Classics, who was a regular patron of the Central, how this worked. You looked in the book, and like I said, you fill out the slip of paper with the necessary information. And another reason I have Elvis in back of me, because I sang All Shook Up. That was my very first karaoke song back in 1992. And I still have the cassette somewhere. For those of you under 35, a cassette is a little plastic tape that you put in a cassette player. But that's what Carl would do. Carl would have these tapes. He'd have these cassettes that were, you could put one song on each side, and he would record you, and as a complimentary gift, he would, give you the recording. You could take it home. I used to have a collection. I used to have a stack of them, but what happened to the others, I don't know. They vanished during the course of time, but I still have the very first one, strangely enough. Anyhow, something was sparked that night, because then I kept going back, and I began to become known as Elvis, and because I would sing Elvis songs and nothing but. So that was fun. But then slowly I would start to branch out into other artists like Mac Davis or Frankie Sinatra or Beatles, whomever. But it was primarily Elvis in the beginning, and that was something that was fueled from when I went to Middleborough High School and was involved in the speech and theater workshop, which was what most schools would call a drama department. But we would do a musical or a play, a comedic or dramatic play, and then at the end of the year we would do a variety show called That's Entertainment. And my sophomore year in 1989, I'm old, I did a tribute to Elvis. He's going to figure into this story very prominently. because it's been 36 years that I've been paying tribute to him as an Elvis tribute artist, or an ETA, as they're called. So it was Thursday nights, many Thursday nights at the Central Cafe, and then Carl did Sunday nights as well. And I would go whatever night I could make it, working for the cable company, and of course working for the International Wrestling Federation at that time. If I had a Thursday night off, or mostly Sunday nights I would have off a lot, but Thursday nights too, I would get down to the Central Cafe as often as I could and sing some Elvis, because it was always fun, and the reaction from the people. And I got to the point too where I had a black leather jacket, and I would come in with the black leather jacket on, and I had a pink, like a pinkish color scarf, like the scarves that Elvis would pass out. So I was really hamming it up, and trying to put on kind of a show, and not just get up to sing, but put on a show for the people to see. And it was a lot of fun. And Carl, like I said, became a lifelong friend. It's hard to believe I've known him 32 years, even though I haven't seen him again for quite a while. But that is what really sparked my interest in karaoke at first, and getting me out as a performer. And hang out with Carl. Later, he would also grab gigs at the Lakeville Eagles, and I'd go to those shows there on Wednesday nights, I think it was. Tuesday. It was Tuesday night. Tuesday nights, he'd be down at the Lakeville Eagles. Then Friday nights, here's another blast from the past, Middleborough people. Friday nights, he would grab Richard's Pub, and did singing shows for Richard, at Richard's Pub. Attended Carl's karaoke night there. And the coolest part of all that was I had branched off from Elvis at that point. I would still sing the Elvis, don't get me wrong, but as karaoke grew and progressed, and I'm sure Carl could tell you more about the technical side of things, but as more things happened and more songs got released on karaoke, then I was able to expand and branch out. And I would do some disco stuff, Village People, a little YMCA and Macho Man. And then around the same time, El Torito, Mexican restaurant in Middleborough, they would hold karaoke on Wednesday nights. And there's a good buddy of mine who was attending all these shows with me. That's Barry Tinkham. He and I would go everywhere we could to sing. For the record, Carl, though, did not do the karaoke show at El Torito. It was another outfit. I don't remember the name of the company or anything. But this was about that time that I was really getting my feet wet into karaoke and really getting comfortable with performing in front of people. I mean, obviously, I was no stranger to performing in front of an audience. I mean, I was a wrestler. I mean, I would wrestle in front of, a couple thousand people, or manage wrestlers in front of a couple thousand people and mouth off to the audience. So I clearly didn't have any problem performing in front of a crowd. But when you're singing, it's a different vibe, it's a different kind of confidence, and it's a different kind of scenario. So, but it was, it was a lot of fun, and this was where it all began, so to speak. And as the 90s progressed, in future episodes, we'll talk about other places that I performed at. But some people who stand out, like I said, Carl being the maestro, really, being the guy that, put it all together, so to speak. And he was really the first to jump on the karaoke craze when it came to southeastern Massachusetts. I know there are other people that did it too, but Carl was really, in KP Productions, he was really the most known. And to this day, he's still at it. He's still doing it, and he's still DJing, and he's jumped on all the technology that elevated the art form. And he's, as far as I'm concerned, he's the best. But there were others. Like I said, there was somebody at El Torito. I can't remember the name of the people that did it there. But as the 90s progressed, then I would branch out into another place that will get its own episode. More on that later. But Barry Tinkham, again, was a person I made friends with, became very fast friends with. And we traveled the circuit together. We used to try to find out where karaoke was, and we would go and sing. But El Torito, the Central, Richard's Pub, those were our, and the Lakeville Eagles, those were our hangouts in the beginning. That's where we could be found every week to the point where really we were singing every week. And the cool thing about that is you get practice. You get a lot of practice, and I'm really the only one from this crowd that went on to pursue it as a bit of a career. Singing, and as a lot of people know, I do nursing homes and senior centers and assisted living facilities. You see my clips on my YouTube channel here. There was a woman named Cindy who had a fantastic voice. I can't remember her last name to save my life, but she would come to the Central and the El Torito and other places like that, and she would sing Midnight Special by CCR and Walking After Midnight by Patsy Cline. There were these two guys that worked at Walmart in Raynham on Route 44 who called themselves Hans and Franz after the Saturday Night Live, characters made famous by Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon, and they would come every Wednesday night to El Torito. Then there was another lady, Shirley, had a wonderful voice, and she would do like the name game, and she would do a little bit of country and a little bit of stuff like that. And it became a fraternity. We got to know one another. We got to know what each other sang. We get to appreciate what each other did, and it was a magical time. I mean, we were just getting started, and we were all so young then. We're not so much anymore. I mean, thanks to hair dye, I don't look as old as I could, but definitely got lines in my face, that's for sure. But this is where it all started. I don't want to keep these episodes. I don't want these episodes to get too long. I want to keep them a little short-winded, But once we started getting into the other places I started to play, the Central, there's really not a whole lot to say because this is 32 years ago. I'm trying to share everything I remember, but me being Elvis there was the biggest thing I remember. And then going over to El Torito and Richard's Pub and the Eagles, and just throwing back some beer, singing some songs, and having a good time. And the memorable people that I met along the way: Barry, Shirley, Cindy, Hans and Franz, and of course Carl Bach, KP Productions, the guy that got me started in this whole thing. So there will be more episodes where I'm going to talk about more places, more people that I got to know and like. And I'm not going to lie to you, it wasn't always sunshine and roses. Sometimes you ran into personality conflicts, sometimes you ran into problems, sometimes things happen, but at the end of the day, karaoke has been nothing but wonderful to me. I'm glad to have been a part of it, and I'm glad that it still serves me today when I go out and sing. In the old days, when I started doing the nursing homes about 1994, I used to carry a double cassette. Once I get back to cassettes, a double cassette karaoke machine that came with two microphones, had two tape decks, and the karaoke cassettes you would get would come with printed lyrics. You had to memorize the lyrics. Then later, the technology that Carl had already jumped on, but it wasn't available to the consumer until a little bit later on, were the CD and Gs, CD and graphics, where you would have to lug around a television along with your player and your discs. It's so much easier now. Now I just carry my tablet and sync into the Wi-Fi at whatever building I'm at, and utilize the music that way, stored in my device. And that's a wonderful way technology has served us, no doubt about it. So I want to give Elvis another look there one more time, because this is the guy. If I hadn't started impersonating this guy and singing his songs at the Central Cafe, I might not be sitting here doing this presentation for you on YouTube right now. So that's going to do it for the first episode of the Karaoke Chronicles. I'm Vic Solo. This channel is SoloMan730. Please like and subscribe, and if you want to leave some comments below, please be polite, and see you in the next episode. Until then, I'm Vic Solo saying take care of yourselves and one another, and y'all be good now.